Where's the best place for content on the world of Ice and Fire?
Right over there. See where I am pointing with my dagger? I just found
Sporking News Podcast. With me, Sporking. Make sure you like and subscribe. Yes, not a stream by the crossroads, a spork of ice and fire. Hello, everybody, and welcome to Tuesday night's A Spork of Ice and Fire, where we tonight, well, first off, we talk everything: A Song of Ice and Fire, Ancient Past, Age of Heroes, the others, no Night's King, the Night's King, not the Night's King from the show. We do talk the shows, but tonight we are talking The Winds of Winter, the Battle of Fire, which is in Marine. Last week we did the Battle of Ice, so maybe I can connect it somewhere here. And hopefully the next 2 weeks we will do the Battle of Steel and the Battle of Blood. But until then, tonight is the Battle of Fire over in Marine. And with me tonight, so far, we have the lovely Bad Takes Bojans.
Hello, everybody. I hope you're having a good start to the beginning of your week. I'm, of course, suffering from seasonal allergies, so I apologize for the gravelly voice.
That's all right. Most people would pay for that. And we have Mason from the Free Folk of the Fandom. And Mason still needs 21 more subs. So, guys, this is getting to hurt. Can you please subscribe to his channel? Mason, Free Folk of the Fandom. Help a brother out. What's up, man?
Not much. Glad to be here. It's going to be a lot of fun to talk about.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, keep going, brother. Keep going. Feel it tonight. I want you to feel it. Oh, yeah. Link to your channel. Throw it in there, Mason. Throw it in there. In the chat. All right, buddy?
I don't know if I can.
All right. I got that.
You
will get that. All right. We are
I will take care of
here
that
tonight, people.
Right. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
Thanks. Thank you very much. So, yeah, tonight we are going to talk about the Battle of Fire. I don't know. I know, Mason, you know a good amount about the Battle of Fire. Tina, do you have any background on the knowledge of the Battle of Fire in Marine?
I do not, so I will follow you guys.
Okay.
I unfortunately read so much that I forget more than I read. So I will be the sounding board. How's that?
Do me a favor. Both of you jump in when you want to. Talk over me. What anyone else think Wex Wex is a secret Targaryen? Ooh. Fernzilla. What makes you think that? I would like to hear. That's a good one. I like that. There are quite a few that could be secret Targaryens. I will agree with you on that. But I would like to hear your thoughts, and Kirsty Angel might have some thoughts on that too. Is Wex a secret Targaryen? And Sonny Frank, how are you? Seeing some of my favorite people here tonight and some new faces that I haven't, or I just don't remember names, so I'm terrible. So I apologize. But this is considered the second siege of Marine. So the first siege of Marine was when Dany, let me back that up a little bit. So Dany gets, Drogo dies. Dany births her dragons. The majority of the Khalasars left her already, with Drogo's blood riders who were supposed to, go to death with him. Instead, they steal her, all the strong men. She's left with, weaker men, the old, the young, the people that really no one else would take. Danny crosses the Red Waste, goes to Karth. They try to steal her dragons. She goes into the House of the Undying, right? And that's where she has visions where the warlocks of Karth, right? They're from Karth, right? The warlocks. Mason.
I'm sorry, what?
Yes.
Yeah.
They come with the Quaith, and they
Yeah,
are from
Quaith.
Karth. Yeah.
Yeah, I just wanted to hear your guys' voices. Yeah, so we got Karth. She leaves Karth. Upon leaving, she ends up finding about Unsullied. So what she does is she buys about 8,600 of them, 5,000 boys that were not yet completed their training. I can't remember if they got cut or not, but they did not complete their training. I believe they've already been castrated. I think they do that before the training. I don't remember exactly. So let me know in the chat if you know. But 5,000 out of that 806,000 still need to be trained, but a solid group of fighters. So what does Danny do to train them? She sacks Astapor. Okay. And that's where the Unsullied were purchased. She sacks them, frees all the slaves, kills most of the masters, and she installs like a council of 3 to rule the city. It was a healer, a scholar, and a priest. She marches her army to Yunkai, where she is faced with 4,000 slave soldiers, as well as two sellsword companies, the Second Sons and the Stormcrows, each consisting like 500 men around there. Danny meets envoys from all 3 parties and promises Yunkai that they'll remain unharmed if they release their slaves. The Stormcrows defect to Danny's side, and the Stormcrows, who are led by who? Bluebeard likes to have sex with Danny later on.
Oh,
Dario.
There that dude. Yeah.
Yes, he
Yeah,
does
yeah.
not look like what he looks like in the show, even though the guy changed faces in the show. He might have been a faceless man. No, the actor just didn't come back, but he has like he dyes his beard blue. A lot of people, Mason, who do they sometimes think he could be? Somebody from Westeros.
I think he's Euron. Is
That's
that what
right.
you're thinking of?
Yeah, is that the theory? It's Euron, and
Yeah.
okay, so yeah, there's the theory about that. I don't know if it's true, but there's some evidence for it. But what he does is he kills the leaders of his own group because he was like in a 3-party leader, I believe, and he kills the other 2 to show Danny, he means to be on her side. So I believe Danny uses like a group of warriors to sneak in through the tunnels, like the sewer. And is that here or Marine? I'm sorry. No, they overthrow Yunkai. Now they're up to like 8,000 more men, I think. And, it's all the slaves that were freed are joining her. They're called the free men. And then Danny goes to conquer Marine and install herself queen there. And pretty much the good masters, like, are laughing at her. When she does leave Astapor on her way to Marine, once she conquers Marine, she finds out that her 3 leaders in Astapor were murdered by a guy, the butcher Cleon. He was like a slave butcher, and it's a long thing that happens there. Then he gets overthrown, and Cleon the second takes over, and he only lasts 8 days, so whatever. But so Yunkai or Astapor is already taken over by the good masters again, but Danny sneaks into Marine. I think it's Marine. I don't know if I'm correct on that one. Using the sewers because the great masters think she's, a joke pretty much, even though she has dragons. They start freeing slaves, open up the gates, they win it. She takes over. Let's see who else is here and if anybody has anything to say. Reclaim it. What's up, my friend? No, you suck with names. I suck with names, dude. Zombie Box Reviews, Andy. I remember that name. What's up? reclaim it. One of our coworkers, well, my coworker passed away today or yesterday. Long battle with cancer. So I just wanted to give you a heads up on that. And then we have Sonny. Is there a theory that he is Benjamin? Oh my
There
God.
is now.
There is now. I've never heard that theory, but Sonny Frank, we'll call it the Frank theory. That is a great idea. I mean, he disappears. They kind of have the same build. You know what? I mean, what to say he didn't have a plan where he's going to get
Yeah.
sellsword companies and try knowing, oh my God, we're going off topic for a second. Knowing John is a secret Targaryen and a Stark, knowing Dany is over there, knowing he needs to get her back so that they either she could take over or they can marry or it'll protect John's claim or he won't get hunted down by, the Baratheons. He fakes his own death, goes to Essos, joins the Stormcrows. He probably would move the ranks up quick because you can move up by killing. He's a great fighter and dyes his beard blonde and has an accent. I like that one. Thanks, Andy.
Yo, if they married, that'd be his aunt and uncle on both sides.
Yeah. That's awesome. Yeah, they do get cut before their training reclaims it, say. So thank you on that. Yeah, so Danny Marine, please go.
The thing with the Unsullied, I think it was they were trained, but they weren't blooded yet, where they go and kill an infant.
Mhm.
Then the mother
Which
of
is so messed up.
yeah,
They have to take it from the mother, right?
yeah.
And kill an infant child. Yeah, that's pretty messed up. That's worse than like raising a puppy for a year and then killing it. Like some weird groups do in real life.
Ugh.
Yeah. So Cleon offers an alliance to be sealed with a marriage to Dany. That doesn't last because he dies. The good young Kai is returned to slavery. A lot of other things happen in between. There's like I said, Cleon gets slain because he orders his men to go march out and fight while they're getting besieged. So Cleon II is slain 8 days after he takes over, and the concubine of the first Cleon claimed the crown as well. They call the new king King Cutthroat and her queen Whore. While Astapor starves, the king and queen accuse one another of eating the slain. I mean, it just gets crazy. When the Green Grace of Astapor has a vision that the first Cleon will soon deliver the Astaporians from the Yunkai, the Astaporians make the decision to strap Cleon's corpse into his armor and onto his horse to lead the Unsullied in battle. When the dead King Cleon is slain once again, the Astaporians break and attempt to flee, but the gates are shut. It's just a madhouse what's happening over there. And let's not forget the bloody flux, which they call the Gray Mare, I believe, or the Pale Mare is going on in Yunkai right now, or in Astapor. So like there's a terrible disease going on. So there's a lot happening before they even decide to siege Marine again. This whole time, also, Dany is trying to run. So what happened to Astapor, what happened to Yunkai, and you need to know these things because that's what causes Dany to put down roots in Marine, because she did not want, she's like, I am not just a conqueror. I am a queen. I'm not going to just conquer and leave. I need to set up, some type of organization to this city before I leave, put it in the hands of people I trust, this and that. And it never goes well for her. She's trying to play the Game of Thrones when she is blood and fire. I don't know if you guys have any thoughts on that.
Yeah, I think that's how book 3 ends with Dany, is her saying like, I need to figure out how I'm going to rule. Something like that.
I need to learn to be a queen. Something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right. Against Barristan's, council and things like that. But she decided she had to. What's up, Jane? Good to see you. Yeah, she needs to be a dragon, Jane. That is absolutely right. So that was all this first siege of Marine and what led up to the second siege. So you have Astapor defeated, and then the Yunkai forces marched to Marine. Ships from Karth, Tolos, and New Gish are shocking off the bay. I don't know what shocking means. I'm reading that. I apologize. I wrote it down as said. Aided by ships from Marine. So I believe they're building like a barricade um, to block off the harbor with around Marine because Slaver's Bay is quite large, but they block off anybody coming in or leaving Marine's harbors. So aided by ships from Marinese fleets who had fled when Danny first arrived too. So you got all these ships just blocking her. Yunkai marched their new soldiers up the coast road, accompanied by four sellsword groups. So you have four sellsword groups, a Giscari Legion, 100 elephants, Tolashi slingers, so like David, and a corpse of Carthene Camerly. I don't know what that a corpse. I shouldn't just read this. I should just say what I know. So the Slavers Alliance is like over 70,000 strong. All right. So you have New Gish has over 30K divided into 6 legions, 100 armored and towered war elephants. Like I said, so there's quite a few elephants. 3 war galleons in the water. Yunkai has 40 Yunkai commanders, each having 20 or 200 or 2,000 armored slaves. It's always that number. 8,000 is about the median count. 6 trebuchets they have surrounding. So from when you see, and we'll bring up a map, when you see Marine, it's water, land, like a river, land. So it's land pretty much on 3 sides, and they have 6 trebuchets around. And what is a trebuchet? Can anybody tell the kids in the chat?
Now I know it's not the same as a catapult,
No.
but I don't remember the difference.
So trebuchet usually has a like a almost like a sling material, or it can have like a basket, but it's usually a sling at the end, and it uses a counterweight to flip the armature, just flip it instead of like a catapult pulls down and with that force it springs up. This one uses a counterweight to pretty much flip it like the chicken on a desk or the bird on a desk that pecks your desk. It's kind of like that.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So like a seesaw.
Yeah, in a way. We'll bring one up.
Yeah.
So there's also 3,000 from the Company of Cat. That's one of the sellswords. The long lances, 800 mounted lances. Second sons who switched sides and left Danny, 514 of them. You have, like I said, the Carthene fleet, but also their camel corps. So guys riding camels. There are some Dothraki on their side. I don't think I realized that when I first read it in the sample chapter. They have a large Khalasar. It could be like 20K. They also have crossbowmen from Elrian. I think the place is called, 300 of them. And like I said, the Tulsi slingers. I don't know the exact amount of those guys. The funny thing with the slavers, though, the slavers have like they're like the great masters or the wise masters. So like one runs the show every night. Like one has from sun up to sundown, and then they switch. So you never know what, you get one commander who has one idea, and then the next day you have a completely different strategy. And there's like 6 of them, I believe. I wrote down their names too. You have like, I think her name is Malaza Golden. She's the Golden General. She thinks of herself as the answer to Danny, and she has very phallic shields on her buff slave soldiers. Then you have Pazar, I believe his name is. They call him the Little Pigeon, and he has like the Heron's troops, so they're really tall slaves on stilts. People are warped. You also have I think it's Kinkar the King Kind Car Lords. There are 3 of them. Those are the guys that chain up their people, chain their slaves' legs together so they can't run. So they're like a massive group, all chained by the legs. That's really smart. And then I forgot the ones that went over were led by Brown Ben Plum, the second sons. And then you also had the Tattered Prince on their side, which I kind of found weird, but I think he also defected. Quite a few of them. Only one of Dany's sellsword groups that she had on the first siege stayed with her. The rest defected, which is pretty messed up. Jane says her education should have been dragon diplomacy, diplomacy, regal, righteousness, Viserion, and vengeance or justice. Yeah, vengeance, Dragon's vengeance. Wouldn't he be vengeance instead of Viserion vengeance? I think Drago. I always want to call Dragon. I always want to name it her husband, Drogo, but it's Drogon.
As opposed to Drogon.
Yeah, and I always, when I read it though, I've read it my whole life until the show, or my whole life. But from when I started reading the books, it was not Drogon, it was Dragon. So like I still am terrible with names, but now I have to replace names because he wrote them all messed up. Where now I read them from where I heard it in Game of Thrones.
So
like
the dragon's French. Drogon.
Drogon. Well, they do with me. They do that with my last name because Bojan is short for Bojanowski. So it was very Americanized, and Bojanowski is pretty much like Smith in Poland. So you open up the phone book and there's all these Bojanowskis. Well, people keep wanting to call it Bojan and Bohan, and I'm like, oh my god, I'm so not fancy.
See, in my way of thinking, I say, oh yeah, it's Bojan, like a Bojangles, something like that.
Exactly.
So yeah, Reclaim It says it a little bit better. It's a catapult, but it uses momentum weight, and the momentum weight, it slings it. It is. I would technically say a trebuchet is a catapult, but not every catapult is a trebuchet.
Gotcha.
Right. That's what the Mexicans used to get over that wall. Reviews the stilts. It feels like the books have been going on for a lifetime. They do. I like that. The dreadful gold. All right. So yeah, Dany's gone. So we know during they opened the fighting pits for the first time since Dany took over at the behest of her husband. I forget how to say his name. His name is Hizdar Mozakic or something like that. Hizdar now though, there was these locusts that were poisoned, but who ate them again, Mason? You always know.
The really big guy.
Yeah, not Big Brown.
That was her champion.
Begalas? I could never say his name. You're muted. Are you here, buddy? Are you with us?
Yeah,
there you
sorry.
go.
Strong Belwas. That's it.
Thank you. You said it probably a few times. And like, why is he not listening to me? Yeah. So no, he ate them, got a stomach ache, and then all of a sudden you have, who are the terrorists again, Mason, in Marine?
The Sons of the Harpy?
Yes, sir. So the Sons of the Harpy, since Dany took over, most likely, I think, ran by the Shave Pate, maybe involved in it just to get the Masters looking bad. I could be wrong on that. But they are most likely a lot of the great Masters, maybe not the greatest ones, but they're people. And they're a terrorist group that keeps killing Unsullied when they're alone, or in the show they took out Selmy, which was just wrong. Just so wrong. Like one of the greatest fighters in Westerosi history, and he gets taken out by a knife. Oh God.
Yeah, he was robbed, man.
He was definitely robbed and killed. So he is alive, people, if you only watch the show. Yeah, so they come to kill most likely Dany. Dany is now in the pits. trying to be her Unsully and Dothraki are trying to protect her. And here comes Drogon. See, I do it. Flying in, laying down fire. Dany jumps on him and flies away. She's gone. But we do know that she is not fireproof because she burns her hands at that moment.
Mhm.
A lot of people think Targaryens are fireproof. They are not. That was just a magical moment because it was blood magic killing the lamb woman.
Mary Mazdur.
Boom. Thank you. Too many things in my head. And then we'll get to Dany's group in a minute. On Dario, purple whiskers are tied to Chinese dragons in Chinese mythology. And Dario is the only character in text who happened to have purple whiskers, suggesting he's an actual dragon or he's a secret Blackfire from the female line.
Oh yeah.
That could be it. Because if he is an
I like
actual
that.
dragon, that would be insane that dragons can take human forms. I don't think in A Song of Ice and Fire, he uses magic very seldomly. Like his fantasy it does have magic, but it is used very, well, how would you guys put it? It's not that it's just seldom. It's not easy. It's not like there's, you do have dragons, but like other mythical, like Pegasus, there may be unicorns, but we don't know about that. But like, like griffins, things like that aren't in this world. I don't think dragons they're intelligent, but not magical in the way where they could transform themselves. There might be, somehow dragon blood in people, but maybe from a sick, weird, perverted way. I don't know. Oh, okay. He's the blood of the dragon. Okay, yeah, that's 100%. Okay, better analogy. Not every whiskey is a bourbon, but every bourbon is a whiskey. Amen. Yeah. If it ain't from Kentucky, it ain't a bourbon. And it has to be from the county of Bourbon, I think it is. Certain type of water, people, it's like champagne. Not all champagnes are actually champagne.
Just like not all daffodils are jonquils, but all jonquils are daffodils.
What the hell is the other one? Daffodil what?
Jonquil. It's a type of daffodil, a jonquil. They're a little bit smaller and less fragrant, but they have brighter colors.
Huh. Well, at least they got
than your
that, right?
average, daffodil. Yeah.
At least they got that. We're bright. Oh my God, I saw rainbows galore today in the sky.
Oh,
There was like a really, really hard downpour and we were driving and then the sun came out behind us. And I mean, I'm talking horizon to horizon, one of the brightest rainbows I ever saw. I might actually upload the like very short video I did talking about the double rainbow we saw. I was more excited than my kids, I think. Anyways,
I distinctly remember never seeing a rainbow as a kid. And like, I don't know if it was just because my eyesight was really bad because I
right.
didn't get glasses until I was in middle school. But so people would say, "Oh, there's a rainbow," and I'm like, "Well, no, I don't see it." Anyway, so then I would always complain, going, "How come I never see a rainbow?" My mother scarred me for life. She said, "Because only good girls can see rainbows."
You're so
I was
Catholic. You're so
it was so
Catholic.
funny. So I was like 12 when I finally saw my first
Oh
rainbow,
my God.
and I was like,
Thank
"Oh my
you,
God,
Jesus.
finally a good girl."
Oh, like that's so awesome.
Exactly.
Oh
So
my
th so
God.
th so then I go to play spin the bottle for the first time, and I'm like, "Oh, I can't play because I just saw my first rainbow. I can't stop being a good girl."
I'm a good girl. I'm a good girl. Crying every night because you don't see rainbows. That's great. I mean, this rainbow was so big. Like I saw every color perfectly, like from dark, like
Wow.
almost like a dark purple to the violet to blue, like all the way through yellow. It was unbelievable. I'm going to have to post it as a short because I sound like a moron in it, and then I think I thought there was a cop going to pull me over. It's a funny video. Yeah, back to Dany's group. So on Dany's side, she's not there. Selmy threw Hizdar in jail for the shave pate. So that's one thing you got to know about. You have the shave pate, Shahazmo Kande or something like that. Is that close, Mason?
Sure.
Yeah.
Uh,
Okay. All
Can you
right.
say it one more time?
Skahazmo something.
Oh no.
Handar, something like that. No,
Sorry, I
it has
cut
to be
out.
from Kentucky. It has to be from Kentucky first. I'm not saying all Kentucky whiskey is bourbon. I'm saying it has to be from Kentucky to be bourbon. I don't care what anybody says, 60% corn or not. It has to be from Kentucky. Everybody else is lying. It's just call it something different. So yeah, we have on Danny's side, you have Barristan Selmy. It's Shahazmo Ken. It's Kandaq. I don't know how you say, but he's the commander of the Brazen Beast. And he's like a hardliner, new, like you have the great masters from Marine. They all have like long hair. But there's a group called the Shave Pates that keep their hair very low and tight since Danny came, believing like she's a savior with the dragons. And he's very a hardliner. And I could see him being part of the Harpies just to force Danny's hand. Like I don't know if they were there to kill Danny. I think they were there to kill Hizdar, but I could be wrong on that. You also have Grey Worm. I screwed up. The Tattered Prince is on her side. Maybe that's on the first siege though. So there was, okay. You had the Tattered Prince group, the Windblown, the Stormcrows. They all went over, except for the Stormcrows. Shit, I'm screwing this all up, people. I apologize. I'm like reading my notes and then trying to read what's online, and that's stupid. I'll read my notes. Grey Worm has 8,000 Unsullied. The freedmen from Yunkai, Astapor, and Marine, they were slaves. There's about 8,000 of them in 3 different groups. You have the pit fighters that are on Hizdar's side, so I don't know how loyal they're going to be to Selmy after he threw them in the clinger. The Dothraki, the majority of them left to go find Danny, but there's like an older Dothraki with a couple of the leftovers there. And yes, the Stormcrows, Dario's group, is led right now by the Widower and his other co-commander, because Dario is a captive of the Slavers group. What else? So that's where it starts. And you have, I'll go with the Wise Masters from Yunkai. I'll read off some of them. So you have, I'm not going to read these people off. What am I talking about? There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 of them. So 13 days in a row, you have a different leader. That just right there, you're just because you have the numbers doesn't mean you can win with 13 different commanders. And you have, you're outnumbering Danny's like 22 plus to 70,000 plus, so what is that? Almost 3 to 1. Almost, right? Or a little more than 3 to 1. What am I talking about? So yeah, they think they could just easily win this war, but we can't forget that Quentin Martell freed the dragons and might have died in the process. But so, except for Drogon, 2 of her other dragons are free in the air, perched up on the pyramids, ready to go. And they know which side. That's why I mean they're intelligent, because they don't attack Danny's people, but they do burn ships, I believe, at some point, and are just flying around the battlefield, picking up dead carcasses. The slavers do start trebucheting corpses into the city that have that pale mare disease. So it forces Selmy's hand, and he decides, from what we learned in his sample chapter, that he has to go out and meet them in the field. I don't know if I don't know if that was the best decision, but he is pretty brilliant when it comes to strategy also. He also leads a group of slaves, ex-slaves that he is training in Westerosi, like knight style. And also his three squires that are Red Lamb, Lyric Lash, and Tom Colo, I think the other one's name is. They're like his bannermen when they go into battle. And I'll bring up, please, someone jump in, but I'm going to bring up Selmy's first chapter because it's a pretty good, there's some pretty good speeches in it.
Sure. I don't claim to be good at anything in terms of military tactics, but I see why Selmy would go ahead and engage in the fight because number one, the diseased bodies are being, tossed over the wall. So that means the logic is his people or the people of the city can only get sicker. The sickness can spread. He doesn't have he's not going to get more supplies from anywhere because anything that's coming into the harbor could be attacked by enemy forces. Anything that's coming over land can't get through the city walls. And then lastly, he can't really be expecting reinforcements. If anything, it's just Dany and one more dragon.
Right.
That's coming back. He would have no idea that there's going to be, 10,000 Dothraki or whatever that are going to show up.
Right. And also a fleet of Ironborn showing up later. Because you have Victarion. Right. Victarion will show up. Victarion, I can't remember the name of the red priest he has with him, but the way they talk about this red priest is like he's very black. Like not like what we call brown skinned people in America black. He is like charcoal black, and he burns. Victarion has like an infection growing in his arm, and he like takes him below deck into his quarters, and it's like singing and weird screams and laughter and all this weird shit's happening. He comes out and his arm is just, he burned the whole thing, but it's like stronger, but it's all like mutilated, like looking burned, but it becomes a stronger one. I think Kirsty, that's a great question. I'm putting it in the chat.
Yeah, I think the guy's name is like Morocco or something like that.
Yeah, okay, that it is something like that. Yeah, Morocco.
It's something with an M. But having Victarion do that, and then he starts worshiping. He's like, the drowned god and R'hllor are my gods. He starts his own like religion, basically.
Yeah, how is it again?
No, he's like, do this. Please don't do this. And he's like, no, they're both my gods now.
Yeah, he like mixes the two. I forgot that. Yeah, Walton does see rainbows. Yeah, it's interesting because Victarion has the dragon horn. I forget the actual exact name of it. Which the person who blows it dies, and Euron gives it to him and 3 slaves, I believe, to blow it. So most likely they won't die, or 3 men to blow it, so they won't die. But he wants him to bind a dragon to Euron so that he can take one of Dany's dragons, but also force her into marriage. Victarion says, screw that, I'm doing it myself. But I have a feeling Euron knows something more. Like, he already knows either it's a BS horn and all it does is kill somebody and it won't bind it. It might even infuriate a dragon, or he already knows that he could connect it to himself. Like, he would never give that horn to Victarion if he thought Victarion could steal the dragon from him. Do you agree?
Yeah, I totally agree with that. I think he has some kind of like some sort of blood tie to it. Because like Valyria has a bunch of blood magic. Like, that's what they're known for. So I feel like for it to own the horn and it kills somebody, they'd obviously make their slaves blow it.
Right.
So he'd have to have some sort of blood ownership of it.
Right. Yeah, I would think that too. So we have Barristan's sample chapter. I believe any of the Battle of Fire sample chapters are not directly from George. And let me see. I think it actually says this. Okay, so Barristan 1 is from the World of Ice and Fire app. Excuse me. I did not know that. Victarion, though, partial from a transcript by a Reddit user. So we don't know if it's, how accurate it is.
There's
And
video for the Victarion one where he reads like half a chapter.
There is. I did not know
Yeah.
that. And then Tyrion is also on the World of Ice and Fire. But that was also, I think, one of these two, Barristan and Tyrion, one of them was, I believe one of them had to be read, but then they put it on the app, which I need to download because it gives you little extra things that George has said, which is pretty cool. Tyrion right now is with, he is with Brown Ben Plum's second sons, who are on the slavers' side. They also left Danny's side and went to the slavers' side, and Tyrion's trying to talk them into going back to Danny's side. When Brown Ben Plum goes to see the commanders group or the slavers, top commanding group, he's trying to talk his other guys into going over to Danny's side, and he would give them lands and titles, and because the Lannister never, always keeps
Always
their
pays
debt.
his debts.
Yeah. Oh my God, I am terrible tonight. Yeah. And at the end of his chapter, they, Brown Ben Plum said, "It was planned all the time. We were always going to defect," which I think is bullshit, but it just seems too good to be true right now in these 3 sample chapters that Barristan, everything's going right for him. So something has to come out of left field to screw him. And I don't know if it's going to be like elephants or something I don't know what's going to happen, but do you think Barristan will make it out of the Battle of Fire alive?
Oh, I kind of think he will. Because I feel like having him, figuring out that Aegon the Sixth, who we thought he had failed, like he kind of blames himself for letting Rhaegar's kids get killed.
Yep.
Having him in that position where he's sworn to Dany, but having that in Westeros, he's going to be like super conflicted. I feel like that's
yeah. You know what? That's a perfect point, because he was injured at the battle of the Red Fork, right? Where Rhaegar was killed in single combat by Robert Baratheon, and he was injured in that battle and was not able to get back to the city. And when he found out, that destroyed him. He's sworn to the Targaryens, so no matter which one, he is sworn to them, and if it is Aegon, and he'll probably believe it's Aegon because he has John Connington with him, that is the heir. He has a better claim, even though Dany has dragons. I mean, claim wise, Aegon has a better claim to the crown. He is the son of Rhaegar, who was the crown prince. Oh, thank you. Battle of the Trident. 11 Alpha. Thank you very much. I don't know why I said Red Fork. The ruby red, the rubies going into the water, turning it red for some reason made me think that. So yeah, they, the first paragraph in this is pretty nasty. So, Barristan 1, through the gloom of night, the dead men flew, raining down upon the city streets. The riper corpses would fall to pieces in the air and burst when they came smashing down onto the bricks, scattering worms and maggots and worse things. Others would bounce against the side of pyramids and towers, leaving smears of blood and gore to mark the places where they struck. So they are just launching trebuchets of dead corpses in, like, just nasty. And I believe that was I can't remember who thought of it. but one of, I believe, the sellsword company's guys thought of it. I could be wrong on that. But yeah, Tyrion had Penny with him and Mormont with him. They were bought by this guy called the Yellow Whale as slaves. He dies of this pale mare. So all the slaves escape, and that's how he ends up in the Second Sons, just if anybody was wondering. The
I
Ford
have
was
a thought
named.
in the back
Oh,
of my head.
please
Sorry
go
to
right
interrupt.
ahead.
I think that either Mormont or Selmy isn't going to make it out
Hmm.
of the Battle of Marine. There's something about her having two champions
Yeah,
along with the dude that she's supposed to be married to.
yeah,
Then it makes three champions for her. Just doesn't seem right.
yeah. There's too many. Yeah, no, that's true. And you got Mormont, who's like actually in love with her, and then
Hmm.
Selmy, who throws him under the bus when he gets there and is like, "You knew she was being. You were placed there to
Hmm.
spy on her." So those two I can never see working together again. Now, will she even accept Mormont back because she exiled him? Maybe because he fights in the battle for her. I don't know, but um,
I
they
mean,
may
unless
both
she puts together a true Queen's Council and
guard
includes
or
then
Queen's
eventually
Guard too.
Queen's Guard. Yeah, I guess that would work. But I was thinking of a council to say,
Yeah,
okay, between them, then you throw in that she's likely going to meet Tyrion, and then
right. Do you think he'll become her hand, Tyrion?
Ty- no, I don't think she would trust a Lannister enough.
Right, right. Like the show made it kind of quick, too quick.
Hmm.
Um,
Exactly.
he can say what he wants to say, but I just don't see her trusting him very fast. Real quick, 11 Alpha gets it clear for us. The Ford was named Ruby Ford after the battle. Thank you. But I think canon is silent on what it was called before. No, I actually think it did have a name. I believe when they tell us that, they tell us what it was first, but I could be wrong. You're on point tonight. So, um, Kirsty Angel says Euron said to have gone mad when tying himself to the ship's mast was nothing to do with madness. That was in the name of wanting to hear the song of the sirens without being lured to his death. I agree with you on that. And that's why it sounded like he was going mad. But let's see what we got. He'll give us some. Huge as they were, the younkish trebuchets did not have the range to throw their grisly burden deep into the city. Most of the dead were landing just inside the walls or slamming off what is that? I always screw that word up. Barbicans?
Barbicans.
Barbicans? Parapets or yeah, parapets and defensive towers. You want to read this? You want to help a brother out? Are you willing?
Sure.
All right.
Absolutely. With the six sisters arrayed in a rough crescent around Marine, every part of the city was being struck, save only the river districts to the north. No trebuchet could be thrown across the width of Skahazadhan.
It's Skahazadon. Um,
Skahazadhan. Okay.
yeah, so that's like that small mercy, right? Um,
Hmm.
and I think I actually have a map. You can keep going.
Oh, okay, sure. A small mercy that, though Barristan Selmy as he rode into the market square inside Marine's Great Western Gate. When Daenerys had taken the city, they had also broken through that same gate with the huge battering ram called Joso's Cock,
Okay, I was
made from the mast of a ship. The great masters and their slave soldiers had met the attackers here, and the fighting had raged through the surrounding streets for hours. By the time the city finally fell, hundreds of dead and dying had littered the square. Now, once again, the market was a scene of carnage, though these dead came riding the pale mare. By day, Marine's brick streets showed half a hundred hues. By night, turned them into patchworks of black and white and gray. Torchlight shimmered in the puddles left by the recent rains, and painted lines of fire on the helms and the greaves and the breastplates of men.
Yeah, it's
Sir
pretty dope.
Barristan Selmy rode past them slowly. The old knight wore the armor his queen had given him, a suit of white enameled steel, inlaid and chased with gold. The cloak that streamed from his shoulders was as white as winter snow, and was the shield slung from his saddle. Beneath him was the queen's own mount, the silver mare Khal Drogo had given her upon their wedding day. That was presumptuous, he knew, but if Daenerys herself could not be with them in their hour of peril, Sir Barristan hoped the sight of her silver in the fray might give heart to her warriors, reminding them of who and what they fought for. Besides, the silver had been years in the company of the Queen's dragons and had grown accustomed to the sight and the scent of them. That was not something that could be said for the horses of their foes.
See, that's where you see his battle intellect.
Mhm.
Like his ability to know, okay, yes, it's presumptuous for me to ride her mare, but those two reasons are huge. In battle, even just that little, okay, we're doing this for somebody. Or if you start losing faith, that's our queen we're fighting for. Like he has that her, champion on her horse while she's gone. But the scent of the dragon part, brilliant. Because if these dragons decide to enter the fray, elephants, camels, horses, they're just going to buck whoever's on them and try to get away. And,
Mhm.
her horse will not falter because they know her mare and the mare knows the dragons. So I always thought that was pretty brilliant. Yes, I should have said that. The pale mare is dysentery. Which is, oh man, Union POW camp. My great great grandfather died of dysentery in the Union POW camp. Terrible way to die. Yeah, it is. Yeah, it is, you rebel. That's, oh my God. Yeah, dysentery is terrible. I mean, now there is fresh water running through Marine. So I know one of his reasonings is water. I never understood that part, but you know, 11 Alpha says kind of annoying that HBO shows hated Gurm's color palette and made the Kingsguard armor so unmemorable. Yeah. And it wasn't even really white. Wasn't it like gold? I mean, I know it was the Lannisters and all, but they didn't like pronounce the white enough. Like it was supposed to be like a spectacular white and gold. I don't know. Oh, Kolnitsky in the house. Yo, bruh. That was lame of me. I'm sorry. This he just talks about his squires. Lakar the Lash. Uh, you also have Red Lamb. To the Red Lamb, Selmy had given a great silver banded war horn to sound commands across the battlefield. His other boys remained at the Great Pyramid. They would fight another day or not at all. Not every squire was meant to be a knight. It was the hour of the wolf, the longest, darkest hour of the night. So it's right before dawn, whichever the hour of the wolf is. I want to say it's like 5 o'clock, maybe 6. I think it's 5. For many of them,
Makes
right?
sense.
Yeah. For many of the men who had assembled in the market square, it would be the last night of their lives. I love how he writes. He just gets it in
Mhm.
your head, you know? So he talks a little bit more about what's to come, who's with him, Grey Worm, the Stormcrow, the archers, stuff like that. The horse lords had come as well. Ago and Rakharo had taken most of the queen's small Khalisard across the Shakahazada. But the old half-crippled Jakar Rahan Romo had scraped together 20 riders from those left behind. So very small group of Dothraki. So he knows, okay, the smartest thing would be to stay in this walled off city, but you have terrified people inside, very green or long in the tooth, warriors, other than like, some of the sellswords, the Unsully, but not a lot of them compared to what the slavers have. And now you have dysentery corpses being thrown in to the city to start to spread the pale mare, which it was starting to get into the city, but Danny quarantined anyone with it outside the city walls. So it helped keep Marine safe. Make Marine great again. Would that be Mama? Yeah, I mean Mama. That's Danny's war cry. Mama, make Marine great. Oh no, what would it be? It would be Mumgra.
Mga.
We gotta think of something that would say Mama. All right. Anyways, you have also the not far from them about the ghastly monument of the great master called the Spire of Skulls. You had the several hundred pit fighters who freaking hate Selmy. And the spotted cat were seen among them. So you have, besides him stood fearless Itok, and elsewhere, Serena, She-Snake, Cameron of the Count, the Brindled Butcher, Togosh, Marigo, Orlos, the Catamite, even Gohor, the giant, was there, towering above the others like a man amongst boys. Freedom means something to them after all, it would seem. So he's talking about the pit fighters who, even though they're slaves, they're treated very well because they're pit fighters and they love being pit fighters, but they're there. Now he thinks freedom means something to them all, but he says in the next line, the pit fighters had more love for Hisdar than they had ever shown Danny. But Selmy was glad to have them all the same. Some are even wearing armor, he observed. Perhaps his defeat of Karaz had taught them something. He beat one of the pit fighters who they never wear armor and destroyed the guy because he's in full armor. But he says it right there. They had no love for Danny. They loved Hisdar. So he thinks freedom means something to them after all. Or are they going to turn on him because of what he did to Hisdar in a moment where we think he has everything in hand? You know what I mean? I don't know. Sorry. Yeah, I should ask her to read from now on. Thank you, Andy. I appreciate that. I will let you read from now on. Let me see what I want you to start. Talking about until such time as Queen Danny can return. We'll start from there.
Okay, I'm trying to find it on the screen.
If indeed she ever does. Very top.
Oh, sorry.
It's okay.
Across the city at other gates, other forces had assembled. Tal Tarak and his stalwart shields had gathered by the eastern gate, sometimes called the Hill Gate or the Kizai Gate, since travelers bound for Lazar via the Kizai Pass always left that way. Marcellin and the Mother's men had massed behind the South Gate, the Yellow Gate. The Free Brothers and Simon Stripeback had drawn the North Gate, fronting on the river. They would have the easiest egress with no foe before them but few ships. The Yunkishmen had placed 2 Giscari legions to the north, but they were camped across the Skahazan. I can't do that one. I try hard. With
You're
the
saying it
whole
right.
width
You're saying it right.
Oh, okay. It just seems weird. Okay, with the whole width of the river between them and the walls of Marine. The main Yunkish camp lay to the west between the walls of Marine and the warm green waters of Slavers Bay. 2 of the trebuchets had risen there, one beside the river, the second opposite of Marine's main gates, defended by 24 of Yunkai's wise masters, each with his own slave soldiers. Between the great siege engines were the fortified encampments of 2 Giscari legions.
Yeah.
The Company of the Cat and its camp between the city and the sea. The foe had Tolosi slingers 2, and somewhere out of the night were 300 Illyrian crossbowmen. So, I mean,
then he says it right there. Their numbers must surely tell against us. Too many foes. Yeah, go on, please. Sorry.
I was to say the only thing that they have going for them are the walls of Marine,
Mm-hmm.
but they can't. They're like anybody else who's trying to defend a fort.
Yeah, Yeah,
You know,
like the smartest thing is to stay inside that fort. But with them throwing diseased corpses in,
hmm
you know, is it smart to go out? I don't believe it is. I know we hear that Marine has like either a freshwater spring somewhere or a river running through it. So it's not like that water is stale and stagnant and getting diseased, you know, dropped into it. But he makes the decision anyways.
exactly. This attack went against all of the old knights.
Oh, sorry. I
Oh, no,
jumped
no, no.
ahead. I'm sorry.
Oh, that's right. You jump where you want to jump.
Yeah. Yeah, we don't need to worry about that one. He's talking about like, oh, we're screwed. All right, we can go right here. The white bull.
Okay, the White Bull would have called it folly. He would have warned Barristan against trusting sellswords too. This is what it had come to, my queen, Sir Barristan thought. Our fates hinge upon the sellsword's greed. Your city, your people, our lives. The tattered prince holds us all in his blood-stained hands. Even if their best hope proved to be forlorn hope, Selmy knew that he had no other choice. He might have held Marine for years against the Yunkai, but he could not hold it for even a moon's turn with the pale mare galloping through its streets.
Right.
Makes sense,
Yes.
as we were
Yes, it
saying
does.
before.
Yeah. You can keep
All
going a
right.
little bit more.
Okay. A hush fell across the market square as the old knight and his banner bearers rode toward the gatehouse. Selmy could hear the murmur of countless voices, the sound of horses blowing, whickering, and scraping iron-shod hooves across crumbling brick. The faint clatter of sword and shield. All of it seemed muffled and far away. It was not a silence, just a quiet, the indrawn breath that comes before the shout. Torches smoked and crackled, filling the darkness with shifting orange light. Thousands turned as one to watch the old knight wield his horse around in the shadow of the great iron banded gates. Barristan Selmy could feel their eyes upon him. The captains and commanders advanced to meet him. Jokin and the widower for the Stormcrows, ringmail clinking under their faded cloaks, Grey Worm, Surespear, and Dog Killer for the Unsullied, in spiked bronze caps and quilted armor. Romo for the Dothraki, Cameron, Gogor, and the Spotted Cat for the Pit Fighters. You know our plan of attack, the White Knight said when the captains were gathered around him. We will hit them first with our horse as soon as the gate is open. Ride hard and fast, straight at the slave soldiers. When the legions form up, sweep around them. Take them from behind or from the flank, but do not try their spears. Remember your objectives. The trebuchet, said the widower, the one the Yunkai call Harridan. Take it, topple it, or burn it. Jokin nodded. Feather as many of their nobles as we can and burn their tents, the big ones, those pavilions. Kill many, said Romo, take no slaves.
All right, hold on one second. So yeah,
hmm
they have this 6 trebuchets called the Six Sisters. Their names are Dragonbreaker, Ghost of Astapor, Harpy's Daughter, the one you just read, Harridan, the largest of the trebuchets, Mazdahan's Fist, and Wicked Sister. Just because I knew them, I wanted to throw that out there. Okay.
All right. Sir Barristan turned in the saddle. Cat, Gogar, Cameron, your men will follow afoot. You are known as fearsome fighters. Frighten them, scream and shout. By the time you reach the Yunkish lines, our horsemen should have broken through. Follow them into the breach and do as much slaughter as you can. Where you can, spare the slaves and cut down their masters, the noblemen and officers. Fall back before you are surrounded. Gogar smashed his fist against his chest. Gogar will not fall back, never. Then Gogar die, the old knight thought soon. But this was not the time nor the place for that argument. He let it pass and said, these attacks should distract the Yunkai long enough for Grey Worm to march the Unsullied out the gate and form up. That was where his plan would rise or fall, he knew. If the Yunkish commanders had any sense, they would send their horse thundering down on the eunuchs before they could form ranks, when they were the most vulnerable. His own cavalry would have to prevent that long enough for the Unsullied to lock shields and raise their wall of spears. At the sound of my horn, Grey Worm will advance in line and roll up the slavers and their soldiers. It may be that one or more Giscari legions will march out to meet them, shield to shield, spear to spear. That battle we shall surely win. This one
Yeah,
here, said
real
Grey
quick.
Worm, it shall be as you pass.
Yeah, you know, and I don't know, like it's a, you know, the Unsullied, once they're in their ranks, they're like, you know, Spartans. They're like, you know, they do that. Is it phallic? Whatever that formation is, where, you know, you have shield, spear, you know, another guy with a long spear behind it. So you're getting more, they're really almost impenetrable. Even horses they could take on. They're that strong when they are a unit, but still there's so much open field. It's like, what about elephants riding down on them? Or, you know, like I thought maybe, okay, they'll protect the gate so that people can come in and out. You know, I don't understand what their plan is. You know, like hopefully draw in one of the legions and destroy them. Maybe that's what he's saying, but I don't know how that would work. But I've been wondering about that since this afternoon when I read it.
Oh my
Phalanx,
God.
thank you, man. 11 Alpha, thank you. You're on point. From a strategy standpoint, you'd have to once the dysentery hit the groundwater, you're screwed. Yeah, but if it's a rushing river, like if it's water that's always moving through, I guess so. I mean,
You'd have to ask yourself, is the river, assuming that most rivers flow out into the ocean, that
right.
means that their water source should be coming from somewhere clean
Yes.
to move through the city and out. But
And they don't say
I don't know.
anything about them like doing anything to that water, because I don't know if George remembered it. Let me see if I can get a map of Marine, because it'll show us. I might be wrong, but let's see. Yeah, right here. Okay. This is what let's see if this one will be big enough. Crap. Sorry, I screwed that up. Where did it go? Hey. All right. Let me try to share this one. So you have Marine, you know. So in that, I'm guessing the north is the top. I could be wrong. But you have a whole flow. I mean, a massive river coming through part of the city with one bridge, only one bridge, which that's kind of dangerous. But I don't know if this is correct, because they do say like the Yunkai have people on the other side of the river, but they can't reach with their trebuchets. I'm going to try to see if we have any other. Yeah, see, like any of them show Marine having a river going through it.
Yeah, because if the north is at the top where it usually is in maps, then it would make sense. Anything that is outside that northern gate is only going to impact that section of the city.
Right. So this is probably a better one. Right here. So even this one, this I think is more like it, because I'm pretty sure there was two bridges and it's inside the walled city. It doesn't, you know, there's still the ability to put a wall across it. So it's not as big as they made it seem. But I mean, that's all flowing water coming through. So how does dysentery affect that if you're getting water like, getting, what the hell did I just do? Getting water from like over here. I don't know, but while we're doing that, and no sound, special effects turn up. There we go. The beautiful, lovely Adega Outlaw, where you could buy his book online. The Reach. It's freaking beautiful. I have his other book upstairs, but I haven't started this one yet. But this is a gorgeous book under the name Adega, 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 Adega Outlaw. pick it up, guys. And Adega, you are a wrench, so you can put the link to your books in the chat if you like. Thank you for $4.99, my late fee. Thank you, sir. You're one of the best. I appreciate it. I appreciate everybody that's been supporting the channel the last month, couple months. It means a lot. It really does. But yeah, so we definitely have moving water. So this is the reason why I don't get it. But maybe I'm just not thinking right.
And that
Yeah,
last map makes a lot more sense
yes.
than the one we were originally looking at, because why would you have this small crop of a city on the other
Mhm.
side of the river, and
Right.
then, like you said, one bridge
Yeah.
connecting it?
Yeah, it doesn't make sense.
Mhm.
Marine is fed by rivers flowing from between the Dothraki Sea and the Red Waste. Yeah. So I don't know. I think it's something. Your chat, your time, not mine. Please, dude, share it. Come on. Game of Thrones is gay. Keep crying, grifters. Thank you, Jan. I appreciate that. Grifters. How if it's gay and lame and keep crying, how are you grifting if no one cares? Like, that's good. Thank you for the chat though. Reclaim it. Bacterial stay active for a time, giving it a chance to get people sick and spread. That's true. But if they he definitely says that they can't get to the inner city. So you keep the majority of people away from the walls, but how do you then defend them? Okay, good call. I'll go with that. Because we're gay grifters. Dumb. I love you, man. Did we leave off here? Listen for my horn. Barristan says, if you hear the retreat, fall back. Our walls stand behind us, packed with brazen beasts. Our foes dare not come too close, or they will find themselves in crossbow range. If you hear the horn sound, advance at once. Make for my standard or the queen's. He pointed at the banner in the hand of Tumco Loho and Lacrar. I don't know. I am trying. You can move on. There we go.
The widower's horse sidled to his left. And if your horns fall silent, Sir King, if you and these green boys of yours are cut down. It was a fair question. Sir Barristan meant to be the first through the Yunkish lines. He might as well be the first to die. It often worked that way. If I fall, command is yours. After you, Jokun, then Grey Worm. Should all of us be killed, the day is lost. He might have added, but they all knew that, surely, and none of them would want to hear it said aloud. Never speak of defeat before a battle, Lord Commander Hightower had told him once, when the world was young, for the gods may be listening. And if we come upon the captain, asked the widower, Dario Naharis, give him a sword and follow him. Though Barristan Selmy had little love and less trust for the queen's paramour, he did not doubt his courage nor his skill at arms. And if he should die heroically in battle, so much the better. If there are no further questions, go back to your men and say a prayer to whatever God you believe in. Dawn will be on us soon. A red dawn, said Jokun of the Stormcrows. A dragon dawn, thought Sir Barristan.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like that one.
He had done his own praying earlier as his squires helped him don his armor. His gods were far away across the sea in Westeros, but if the Septons told true, the seven watched over their children wherever they might wander. Sir Barristan had said a prayer to the crone, beseeching her to grant them a little of her wisdom, so that he might lead his men to victory. To his old friend the warrior, he prayed for strength. He asked the mother for her mercy should he fall. The father he entreated to watch over his lads, these half-trained squires who were the closest things to sons that he would ever know. Finally, he had bowed his head to the stranger. You come for all men in the end, he had prayed, but if it please you, spare me and mine today and gather up the spirits of our foes instead.
Okay, first of all, pretty dope.
Agreed.
You know, that whole section, but I'm trying to see, does he say anything to the maid? So to the crone, wisdom.
Yeah, you're right.
To the warrior, to the mother, to the father, and then to the stranger. So he left out, what is it? The smith and the maid for some reason.
Yeah, the Smith and the Maid.
You know,
Yeah,
like I would be like
interesting.
to the smith, make sure our swords and shields are, stronger than theirs or something like that. I
Mhm.
don't know. It's weird, but this is the one that gets me. Like the father he entreated to watch over his lads, these half trained squires who were the closest things to sons that he would ever know. Now, he has been a knight since he was 17. He might have even been 16 and then became Kingsguard like 17 or 18. So he has been among younger fighters for probably more than half his life. And yet these kids, these squires, not the squires from Westeros, these, he believes for some reason he just took a liking that he can, closest things to sons I would ever have. Oh yeah, we lost Mason. I didn't even realize that. Hold on. Did
Oh
he say
no.
something? Oh, he had to go. I didn't even realize it. Why is he Mason? If you're listening, speak up. I don't read the private chat ever. Love you, man. If you could share Mason's link, that'd be great.
Yeah, I will do that. I will do
I,
that again.
I love this. I learned a new word, grifter. And then Zombie Box says, Scott is totally in it for the money. He made $4.99 so far. I can understand hitting Gary or somebody else. I mean, they make a lot more than me. Like me, a grifter, talking about uh, a book series everyone says you're wasting your time on. I freaking love it. Oh God, good times, everybody. Good times.
Oh,
Yeah,
so
so
funny.
I don't know. Do you have anything to say about the prayer being the
Like I said,
Catholic prayer? The
I
good
like
Catholic
the
prayer?
fact that I like the fact that he, covered all of most of the gods, but I
Yeah,
do find it strange that, I mean, you're right, the Smith wouldn't have been too difficult to add.
right.
And I mean,
Like,
he's so brilliant with his words. I'm sure
yeah,
he could have come up something for the maid as like, or the pray to the maid to be the beacon that stirs men's heart or something,
yeah, yeah. That's a good one. Wow, yeah, like something to that effect. Give the maid, give them that strength only a
Hmm.
maiden can in battle. And to
Exactly.
the smith, that one I would think, why would you leave out the smith? Like, now this is
Hmm.
just a sample chapter, right? So he could
Hmm.
add that later on after he listens, because George always listens to my grifting show. So like
Of
I
course.
could totally see that. I don't
You
know.
and your tens of thousands of followers that,
What my what? My tens of followers, and I'm losing them every day. Actually, today I was up +2. That is
Ooh.
300% better than the last 28 days.
See, you should have like 110 followers like I do because I
Yeah,
don't lose them and I don't gain them. They're
I
very
lose
loyal
them.
friends of mine.
Yeah,
I do
they're
nothing.
great. I just got people that are like, "Screw this guy. What is he talking about?" Because I have too many things I talk about. Like, I think YouTube's trying to tell me to keep to this because it shows this to more people. But
Really, really.
yeah, it
Or
does.
it could just be that there's
More
more.
fans. Yeah. I did
Exactly. Either
start
that or there's less content that's still
yeah.
talking about Martin now,
It might be. I never thought that.
where,
Uh,
maybe we're all talking about getting invaded by aliens on other channels.
yeah. I like what 11 Alpha says. It's generally considered strange, no pun intended, to pray to the stranger. Yeah, most people leave the stranger out because he's like
Hmm.
he's death, you know. But as a warrior, it's kind of interesting that he does put that in there because he knows he will meet him someday, and to show the stranger the respect he deserves. That's why I still don't know why he left out the Smith. But all right. Yeah, the Pale Mare. We'll just pick that. He fears Pale Mare more than fears our foes. Yep. Um, all right, here we go. We start at he wheeled his silver mare.
Oh, right. Gather round me, men. When they edged their horses closer, he said, I know what you are feeling. I have felt the same myself 100 times. Your breath is coming faster than it should. In your belly, a knot of fear coils like a cold black worm. You feel as though you need to empty your bladder, maybe move your bowels. Your mouth is dry as sands of Dorne. If you shame yourself out there, you wonder, what if you forget all your training? You yearn to be a hero, but deep down inside, you fear you might be a craven.
I mean, this is the first thing he's saying to all his troops, like just putting it out there. Like, I have felt the same myself 100 times. So like, he's just telling what he's gone through, that because there's so many young guys, there's slaves that just now are warriors. It's not all fighting pit or sell swords. There's a lot of green warriors in this group, and I love that he starts with that. I'll read the rest because
Alrighty.
bravado. Every boy feels the same way on the eve of battle. I, and grown men as well. Those storm crows over there are feeling the same thing. So are the Dothraki. There is no shame and fear unless you let it master you. We all taste terror in our time. I am not afraid, the red lamb. So maybe he's just talking to his squires, but he goes, I am not afraid. The red lamb's voice was loud, almost to the point of shouting. Should I die, I will go before the great shepherd of Lazar, break his crook across my knee, and say to him, why did you make your people lambs when the world is full of wolves? Then I will spit into his eye. Sir Barristan smiled. Well said, but take care that you do not seek death out there, or you will surely find it. The stranger comes for us all, but we need not rush into his arms. So like even now, he's life lessons to his kids. These are all young squires that, these 3 kids, he loves them like sons, and he's bringing them into battle knowing they may never make it to the next night, and they don't even, one has a horn, 2 have banners. Like they're not fighting. They're just following him right behind him into the thick of it. First one's through. I just wonder from Barristan's side, like he must feel almost guilty that he's doing this. I don't know.
I could see that.
Yeah. What is it? I'm gonna sub again for some reason. All right, thanks, Andy. You son of a bitch. Whatever might befall us on the battlefield, remember it has happened before, and to better men than you. I am an old man and an old knight, and I have seen more battles than most of you have years. Nothing is more terrible upon this earth, nothing more glorious, nothing more absurd. You may retch. You will not be the first. You may drop your sword, your shield, your lance. Others have done the same. Pick it up and go on fighting. You may foul your breeches. I did in my first battle. No one will care. All battlefields smell like shit. You may cry out for your mother. Pray to gods you thought you had forgotten. Howl obscenities that you never dreamed could pass your lips. All this has happened too. Some men die in every battle. More survive. East or west, in every inn and wine sink, you will find graybeards endlessly refighting the wars of their youth. They survived their battles. So may you. This you can be certain of. The foe you see before you is just another man. And like as not, he is as frightened as you. Hate him if you must, love him if you can, but lift your sword and bring it down, then ride on. Above all else, keep moving. We are too few to win the battle. We ride to make chaos, to buy the Unsullied time enough to make their spear wall. Sir, Lark pointed with the Kingsguard banner, even as a wordless murmur went up from 1,000 pairs of lips. From across the city, where the shadow steep of Marine's Great Pyramid shouldered 800 feet into starless sky, a fire had awoken where once the harpy stood. A yellow spark at the apex of the pyramid. It glimmered and was gone again. And for a half a heartbeat, Sir Barristan was afraid the wind had blown it out. Then it returned brighter, fiercer, the flame swirling, now yellow, now red, now orange, reaching up, clawing at the dark. Away to the east, dawn was breaking behind the hills. Another 1,000 voices were exclaiming now. Another 1,000 men were looking, pointing, donning their helms, reaching for their swords and axes. Sir Barristan heard the rattle of chains. That was the portcullis coming up. Next would come the groan of the gates, huge iron hinges. It was time. The Red Lamb handed him his winged helm. Barristan Selmy slipped it down over his head, fastened it to his gorget, pulled up his shield, slipped his arm inside the straps. The air tasted strangely sweet. There was nothing like the prospect of death to make a man feel alive. May the warrior protect us all, he told his lads. Sound the attack. Freaking guy writes brilliantly. I don't care what anybody says.
He does.
Yeah. Unbelievable. Unbelievable to me. I mean, I just, and then you read, I think it's Tyrion next, and you learn what Barristan is doing, and he's just causing chaos. Slaves just breaking and running, masters being destroyed, trebuchets coming down, groups trying to fight each other, and the whole time, and maybe I'll bring this up real quick because like the whole time you have different generals coming in trying to tell them stuff to do. And it's just like Tyrion's like, what? Like it's so dumb.
I mean, it would be different if they all had a certain, I don't know, attack strategy,
right?
And that maybe there was some type of a way that they, a different group charges alternately in different ways to try and confuse the enemy or whatever. But it seems weird that you get a completely new ruler with a new plan every, X amount of time. It just doesn't.
It's stupid.
Seem logical.
But see, that's the arrogance of the great masters or the wise masters, because they believe we outnumber them more than 3-1. We can't lose this. So each of us wants glory. So they all it's unbelievable, like what their strategy, it just changes day by day and no one can say a thing. And like Tyrion, I can't find it right now, but Tyrion and the sellswords just keep pointing out, like, we're not supposed to be listening to you. Like, isn't the other guy in charge right now? It's crazy. Here, maybe this is it right here, because I think they call one of them. Pudding Face wants to use the company to throw the Iron Man back. Okay, yeah, Pudding Face, I think, is one they call one of the great masters. I believe, I could be wrong. Tyrion did try, but it seemed to him that the sounds of slaughter were growing louder and his tongue would not be held. Pudding Face wants us to use the company to throw the Iron Men back into the sea. He heard himself telling Penny as she dressed what he should have done was send all his horses at the eunuchs, full charge before they got 10 feet from the gate. So even Tyrion, who is a really smart guy, knows they're all making like this Pudding Face, which is one of the wise masters because they gave him all nicknames. Like they're stupid for what they're doing. Like we shouldn't be in this battle. We're on the wrong side. We're going to die,
Right. And this from someone who's never fought against the Unsullied before.
Yeah. Right. Right. And it might be the first time he sees Unsullied. Now that I think of it, it's not like the show. He just knows probably from reading and things like that. It's pretty interesting. It's just the way George sees it from different views, and you learn everything you need. You get what you have.
Absolutely.
There's this Lord Gorhas, I think he's one of them, sends his compliments to Captain Plum and requests that he brings his company to the bay shore. Our ships are under attack. It's like, what? Captain's not here just now. He's gone to see the girl general. And the writer points out, Lady Malazah's commanded ended with the rising of the sun. Do as Lord Gorhas instructs you. So they're just
so right there, they're admitting there's confusion, right?
Exactly. Because they're not all from Yunkai. There's groups from all different sellswords. So they don't, even though they're told this command, maybe they don't know exactly how it works. But I believe they're just playing them. because they're planning on switching sides anyways. But they just keep giving them shit. It's pretty funny. So let's see what people are saying up here. Become a member of Scott's Grift channel by clicking join button and get access to memberships, a monthly free super chat, gifts, some memberships, custom emojis, and more. There's one custom emoji. The algorithm has definitely been weird as hell, especially for me. Right now, the algorithm is saying it's not about views. It's not about likes, comments. It's about watch time. So if you have a long video like this that becomes a video and everyone just tonight played it as they went to bed, or just this one, even 30 people, that would get pushed out into the algorithm, just so you know. Claim those grift perks. Okay, we're going to end it soon. But Kirsty Angel says House Martell etymology of founding ruler Moors equals death. The current ruler Doron, stranger. Martells are literally the house of death. Yeah, and also let's throw Nymeria into there. I don't know what that etymology would be, but some weird, that's whole 10,000 ships story is weird to me. Like they're supposed to be like this ragged group of her people, but yet they come out and they're strong enough to help the Martells take over Dorne. It's almost like it was planned. I don't know. We might have to go over that one time.
I think that'd be a good topic.
Gorget. Is that right?
Oh, okay. The second G is okay.
Like a J.
Like a J. So Gorget as opposed
that sounds
to
better. Okay. Yeah.
Sounds more French, like trebuchet. Gorget.
Moor's Umber translates to something like Death Shadow. Man, you're right. Creepy. But yeah, so we don't know how the battle is going to turn out. We know Victarion enters at some point at, I believe, the end of Tyrion's chapter, crushing into ships. So his might be first, Victarion's. I don't know. I'll have to look at that. But this is the Battle of Fire. Maybe we'll go over Aegon's Battle of Steel next week. So heads up for people. That would be if you want to, just Google the Winds of Winter sample chapters. And that would be Ariana 1 and 2. And I think that's it for him. So yeah, Ariana 1 and 2 will be the story of what's going on with Aegon. And we'll do that next week. But Tina, and first to Mason, thank you for coming on, buddy. I'm sorry I missed that you were leaving. I don't look at the private chat. Just next time, please jump in and say something. And thank you, Tina. You have been a rock lately as a panelist, so I thank you.
Oh, I am happy to be here. I always enjoy myself, and you guys know where to find me. I'm more active on Twitter and Facebook than I am on YouTube, but stop by and say hi anywhere you find me. And I'm also always in the chats too. If I'm not here, I'm with Ascended Art and those guys on Friday nights, and Vinny on Friday afternoons and Sunday evenings. So
great. Those guys are great. Yep. We're guys. Please, there's whoever's left in the chat. Right as this is over, just refresh and comment below. I could really use the help with comments. I know I just said it's time, but comments, I still believe help. Come back Thursday night, guys. We're going to be talking Daredevil season finale, and I don't have to work on Friday, so we can talk for a while.
Awesome, which is nice. For you.
Yeah. I'm taking a 3-day weekend. But yeah, guys, thank you so much. I know I'm a grifter, but I really enjoy all of you. Oh, hold on. Grifting money. Zombie box review for £5. I don't know what you guys have. Fine. Take my money, you grifter. Hello. I love you, man. Thank you, bro. Thank you as always. Check out Zombie Box Reviews channel. Always a good guy. Good times, good guy. But with that, we're going to get out of here. So I hope you all have a great evening. Bye, y'all. night, everybody. Have a great one.